Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, my next guest constantly stays roasted on social media. In fact, if Comedy Central threw one of their celebrity roasts, it would probably take a week to hold it versus a couple of hours. This is the tweet I woke up to this morning that folks were all over. Terry Crews tweeted this out this morning. If you are a child of God, you are my brother and sister. I have family of every race, creed, and ideology. We must ensure Black Lives Matter. It doesn't morph into Black Lives Better. Lord, that set people off. Here are some of the folks who responded to Terry Crews. Y'all go ahead and pull those tweets up, please. Do we have them? Okay. Bernice King, we're so far from that bridge, Terry. Black Lives Matter is in part a rallying cry and a protest slogan to galvanize people into doing the justice work needed to derail the deaths, dehumanization, and destruction of Black lives that racism causes. Justice is not a competition. Next, please. Holly Robinson, Pete, another sleepless night thinking about Elijah McClain, and I woke up worrying about how to prevent my sweet, special son from meeting a similar fate. And you woke up worried about Check's tweet again, Black Lives Better. We're aiming for equal, going back to sleep. Y'all got one more? Keith Boykin, in 1883, Supreme Court claimed the Civil Rights Act will make black people the special favorite of the laws. In 2020, Terry Crews warned that Black Lives Matter will morph into Black Lives Better, demanding black equality is not black supremacy. Got one more? And D.L. Hughley, I think Terry Crews must have flexed his pecs too hard and knocked something loose. Hashtag Team DL. Terry Crews joins us right now. So, Terry, so you just, I mean, has your publicist just driven to the house and stolen your phone?
You know, you got to understand, Roland, I've been getting this since I was 13 years old. I had a lot of questions. I've always asked questions, and I was always told to shut up. I grew up in an all-black community in Flint, Michigan, the whole thing, and it was like, why are you talking like that? Why are you even questioning what is going on? And I have to. I first of all, if I didn't question it, if I just took everything that everybody ever gave me, I'd still be in Flint. And the thing is, and I agree with Miss Bernice King, you know what I mean, that this is a bridge that's far, far away. But before this tweet, everybody told me it was impossible. You got to understand, what's so wild is that they feel like, and this is what I'm talking about. Look, black supremacy and this moral superiority is something that people feel like can't happen in the black community. And I'm just here to say that, you know, I was watching the BET, or I didn't watch it. Actually, I heard about it because people were telling me about how, you know, I wasn't invited and the whole thing. And I just thought, man, because I have another view, and I thought as a black people, we must be allowed to have other views. Another thing, even with Holly Robinson, she's bringing up Elijah McClain. First of all, me and Elijah McClain have so much in common. You know what I mean? I would have been this, you know, what they call a corny black nerd who tried to make everything happen and get along. And let me tell you something. What's so wild is that our community, you have to be one way. You have to be swinging and punching and fighting. And I'm not that dude. I've always been this corny dude who's asking tons of questions, and I want people to know it's okay. It's okay. And first of all, I love my people. I love Black Lives Matter. But I also feel at this moment in time, you mentioned this is like a third Reconstruction, and that this Reconstruction has to include every voice in America, the Native American, the Asian, the Hispanic, the white, everybody has to be included. And what happens, though, is if you exclude these people and say, hey, you know what, this is our movement, this is our time, you know what happens? Resentment builds. And resentment really, really breeds a self-righteous, you know, it's kind of like a self-righteousness that's really, really dangerous, man. Yeah, first of all, can we have power? Well, all I'm saying is in your mind, we are talking about social and economic and political answers to a spiritual problem. If we don't get this right, now, spiritually, we are going to be all in this thing all over again, battling. And I don't want to go from one oppressor to the next. First of all, I was never scared of the KKK growing up. Never. You know what I was scared of? I was scared of that gang member. I was scared of that drug dealer. And I had to walk through to get to my school every day, that I had to fight to get in and try to make it work. And let me tell you something, that's millions and millions of black kids right now who scared to speak, scared to say what's up in their own community.
But Terry,
and go ahead.
But
I don't want to interrupt you.
No. But here's what we're looking at. In this moment, it's not that we don't bring others along. If we go back to the point of the third Reconstruction, the reality is ball don't lie. When you look at the economic numbers, when you look at the health numbers, coronavirus, COVID-19 has exposed the health inequities in this country, the two systems. And so what we're dealing with right now is the fact that you have black folks and you now have white allies who are standing with black folks who are saying this stuff has to change. So it's not black supremacy. It's saying that we are so far down the economic ladder, the health ladder, the housing ladder, all the categories, that these things have to change. And white America is going to have to recognize that it's always been about them and it can't keep being all about them.
I totally agree with you there. But there's also the Booker T. Washington approach, where there are things that we know we have to correct. You understand what I mean? I think sometimes we as black people are more concerned with how we look as opposed to how we are. Are we healthy? Are we equal within our own community? Do we take care of our women? Are we equal to the women in our community?
But those things can happen at the same time, though. Those things happen at the same time, though. I mean, the reality is, I can be focused on raising my twin nieces, making sure that they have the education, they have a shot at life, while I'm also fighting white supremacy. Those two things can happen. And so me doing that one thing doesn't negate what I'm doing over here with my nieces. What I'm doing with my nieces doesn't negate what I'm doing fighting against white supremacy. But I'm sure as hell going to call out white supremacy when I see it. When I see the fact that you have nearly $700 trillion of a federal pension fund and black investment folks are only managing $100 million of it. When I see what is happening when black folks, black companies are getting less than 3% of venture capital dollars. And what we're seeing is a system that where white folks are in control. We're talking about Hollywood as well. We're talking about news media. We're talking about Wall Street. And so that system has to change because it cannot stay the same if we're talking about equality.
No, I totally agree with you. First of all, Niels Bohr said, and this was the astrophysicist, he said, you know, sometimes the opposite of a profound truth is not a lie. You know, quite often it's another profound truth. Two things can be true at the same time. I do not disagree with you right there. I am fighting white supremacy. I have had guns pointed at me by the police. I have faced all kinds of discrimination. But what I am also saying is, at the same time, as a black man, I am looking at my own community, my own life. All we can do is what we can do on a personal level. Because what you're talking about is a whole giant thing. But I think one at a time, with one person at a time, we can change this. First of all, COVID started with one man, and it went all the way around the world and stopped it. The same thing with a bad ideology and a good ideology. If we make sure, and listen, maybe I'm too soon. Like Bernice King said, hey, you know what? That's a bridge far, far away. Well, you know what? I called it. I see what could happen, and one man has to say it, and if that's going to be me, then that's okay.
But we talk about,
I do not mind not being liked. I really don't. It's one of those things where, hey man, I've been hearing this since I was 13. I've been that corny cat who've been out on the side, and everybody's like, oh, you ain't black anymore. You're Uncle Tom. I don't know anybody, any black person who's ever been successful that has not been called a sellout. But first of all, if you've ever taken a check from a white man, you're instantly a sellout. I'm sorry. If you're still getting your check from a white man, it's the system. Okay, sometimes you got to swim with the stream. You know what I mean? You can't swim against it. And all I'm saying is, when I look at BET or look at all these things are owned by white people. Why are we pretending that we can't even speak on this stuff?
So when you say,
I'm bringing up the conversation, and I love the fact that we can talk right now.
So when you said Black Lives Better, what does that mean?
First of all, when I say this, you know what? The fact is, I'm called a coon a lot of times. So by other black people,
which is also a word I do not allow to use on my timeline. To me, that is a racial epithet. That's the same as the N word. And I make it clear to people, I will block you if you use that, because for me, you can't be a conscious black person using the same language of white oppressors. But go ahead.
But this is the thing, Roland. I'm speaking on my social media.
Right.
I didn't go on ABC or NBC to do this. This is my Twitter. This is my private network. This is what I do. And I'm being told to shut up, be quiet, don't say anything, just keep it shut. And you're a coon, don't say anything. And this is the thing. It's really weird, because I realize that some Black lives matter more than others, because they don't want me as a black man to talk, because it's any bit of because you're going to make us look bad. But the deal is, I don't care about how we look. I care about how we are. We have to really examine these things within each other. There's colorism going on. It's still the light skin, dark skin thing happening. And I'm trying to tell you, this is stuff that I have faced personally. And I just really am tired of actually having to be quiet about it. And I love my people so much that I'm willing to risk it all. First of all, I face everybody loves to say that, oh, well, he's trying to please the white man or whatever. I took on Hollywood by myself 2 years ago, all by myself. I spent $500,000 on my money. I'm still waiting for them checks from anybody else who said they supported me, because they didn't. And first of all, I and my wife, we all went up against Hollywood, and my career was over. It was done. And so I've risked it all once before. I'll do it again. I've been canceled for almost everything under the sun. I've been canceled for going to China by white men. I've been canceled by the LGBTQ community for talking about fatherhood. I've been canceled by many, many people for many, many reasons. This is the new day and era. You are going to be canceled. It's okay. If you have any opinion, I'm sorry, somebody's not going to like it. But I would rather have the conversation in this new millennium so we can talk. We can really open it up, because this is the deal. If you can't reveal these things that are wrong, we can never get better. We'll always keep that little lacquer. I realized on my own life, if I was not forthwith about my own issues, I couldn't improve. And this is what we have to do as a community, and even as the United States. It's not, oh, look at Russia. No, we got to look at us. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's not, oh, look at that white man. No, look at this guy down the street who's terrorizing your neighborhood. I am one of those guys, and I'm black, and I can call it. You know what? I can say things white people can't say. And you know what? I can't even stop. What's so crazy is that I was repeated, and they put me on Fox News. I am not a Trump supporter. I will never go on Fox News. I am not for anything they are talking about. Okay, I'm not Republican. I'm not even into all of that. But the thing is that I do have a viewpoint. And when I can express my own viewpoint on my own social media and get told, stop it, pull the plug on them, I mean, what are you so scared of? I'm not on a major network or whatever. I'm telling my own thing, and then I go to work and do what I do. So these are my opinions, and they're my own. And if you don't like them, that's okay.
When you talked about how you've been canceled multiple times, when you commented on the situation of Gabrielle Union, did you understand why people were so angry with you and felt you were not being supportive of her? Have there been moments where you've given your opinion and you said, you know what, I screwed that one up?
Well, you know what? First of all, if you look at most of my social media, you will know that I apologized to Gabrielle twice. First of all, twice. I'm the wrong man to ask about AGT, because I do it for free. Let me tell you something, Roland. I love it. I have the best time. You said I
would do it for free, or I'm doing it for free?
No, I would.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm not doing it for free.
I just want to make. I'm like, I know you ain't working for free. I was like, okay, I got it. I just want to clarify that. Go ahead.
But what I didn't realize, and because as a man, I have privilege. You know what I mean? I have a privilege that, a big black man on a set is going to be treated differently than a black woman. And I did not count that in. I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have just not said anything. And I should have just said, ask Gabrielle. But I was speaking from my experience. They asked me about how I felt. And I'm happy about the show. So I told it. And I had to, and then I responded in anger. Sometimes with Twitter and different things, and different people come at you and they call you all kind of things. They were calling out my wife, calling her names, doing all this stuff. And then I got mad. And then that never works. And so I just totally had to revamp and apologize. And let me tell you, especially after the George Floyd murder, my whole thing was, man, we have to unite as a community. And I have to apologize to her again, just because I didn't recognize that male privilege that I have, just being a man. And so that was my whole mindset. I am not above apologizing, but this is the new era. If you say anything, you're going to have to come back and be like, man, that's my bad. I have no problem saying I'm sorry. But what I'm talking about right now is, hey, yo, I have family members that are different races. I have, people that I call closer than a brother that are white, and that are Asian, that are Hispanic. And I'm going, hey, man, let's build this new world together. That's for real. And I haven't heard that. Maybe I'm not listening hard enough, but I am totally with Black Lives Matter and totally against the murder of our people.
You spoke about cancel culture, and you spoke about when your LGBT critics came after you, speaking about fatherhood, black fatherhood. Do you believe that, just like with the issue, because trust me, I'm looking at my Instagram page, people like, don't have him on, he's horrible, sort of stuff along those lines. And bottom line is, I've debated white supremacists. I've had Dinesh D'Souza. I'm not scared to have anybody on the show. But do you think that part of the issue is that we don't create space for divergent viewpoints? So, for instance, when you mention the fatherhood piece, I mean, the reality is there are people who have this view when it comes to male, female, fatherhood. Fathers matter. Then, of course, you have folks who are LGBT who say you can have two mothers, you can have two dads. When that happened, did you feel as if they were silencing you as a man who is heterosexual, who has children, who grew up seeing fathers and mothers? Did you feel that was an attempt to silence you from speaking about your own personal truth?
I did. I also felt like, I was speaking specifically to the black community and the issues that I've seen, and even in my own house. My father was very abusive. My father beat my mother senseless, okay? I'm talking about, and you got to understand, that when I talk about fatherhood, it's something that I always desired and what I knew I was missing. You understand what I mean? And I was really reaching out to people who understood what I was talking about. But then with social media, you have other groups that don't have any clue, that can come in and just start taking it over. And I was like, I never said same-sex couples can't successfully raise a child. I never said that. They can. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the good that a father can bring to his family. I know what I mean to my kids. I know what father figures have meant to me. And this is what I'm saying. This is a personal move, but what happens is you go on your own social media and everybody's like, hey, man, you're on ABC. I'm like, no, but I could say this is a personal point that I'm making. And what happens is they want you to shut up, but they get to keep talking. And this is America. I'm sorry. It's America. There's a lot of people who don't want me to talk, but I want to even mention this. The fact is, this black supremacy thing was a quote from MLK. MLK said it himself in 2 different speeches, one in 1960 and one in 1961. And another time when Elijah Muhammad from the NOI in January 1961 met with the head of Ku Klux Klan in Atlanta so that they could agree on their differences. Let me tell you something, man. I don't know what to tell you, but if you got one group, supremacist group, meet with another supremacist group, I'm trying to tell you it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I am saying we have to look at what can happen, what can grow, and because everything can become extreme. Every movement that has started well can move into a very, very extreme thing. You can have a church, and then all of a sudden they flip out in Guyana and they're drinking Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but are you seeing that right now? I mean, like, what's the evidence of that? I mean, the reality is what I am seeing, and again, when I say I'm seeing it, literally, Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. is right outside these doors. I can take 25 steps, and I am literally standing on it right here in D.C. And so what you're describing, where's that? But where's that happening? I mean, I haven't seen it. Where's it happening?
No. Listen, first of all, you may not have seen it, but in my social media, in my world, I get called out all the time, Roland. It's like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you at the march? Why aren't you standing here? You know what, brother? You ain't standing for us. You ain't doing this for us. And this is what I'm sitting here like, there's this public shaming that constantly is on you. They're like, what did you give for here? Flint still ain't got clean water. You're supposed to take care of all the problems of everybody at the same time, and you start to hear it. And then when you say something back, they're like, it's never enough. You are not Black enough. Now, Roland, I don't know what else to say. I'm talking mainly about our community and the way we deal with each other, that we can't have these open conversations.
But here's the deal, though. But if that's the case, I mean, here's all I'm saying. If there for me was evidence of that, and I get, first of all, Twitter is not America.
Right.
That is a small slice. And you got trolls. You got bots. And look, dude, I got a show that's targeting Black people. And I got Black people saying it's not Black. I got people telling me that I'm picking up checks from the white man when I pay white people. Like, so I laugh at it, but what I don't do is I don't internalize it and lash out. I laugh at them. And if somebody tells me that I'm not doing enough for my people, my response actually is, y'all kiss my ass. But I don't necessarily see in this moment right now where you have Black supremacy reigning. What I actually see are Black folks who are seeing white allies who are saying, yo, we now can actually change this. And so I think that's why a lot of people are like, Terry, what the hell? What are you talking about?
I totally agree. First of all, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it. I totally understand. But what I am saying, and hear me, all these are warnings. And look, it's too soon. Yes, it's too soon. But my thing is that I've been, there's very, very fine line between culture and a cult. And I realize that there are things that I can say and I'm immediately told to be quiet about because you're going to ruin something. And I'm going, wait a minute. I'm just warning about, because some people want the voice, Roland. That's just the truth. And I'm sitting here like, hey, man, I'm looking far, far ahead. Just like Bernice said, it's a bridge far ahead. And like I said, if I was too early, then I'll be the guy to claim I was way too early. I'm not seeing it either, but it does not mean it cannot happen, because I was told it can't exist. Like, it will never happen in America. You can't have it. And I'm here to tell you, in places like Cambodia, in places like Rwanda, in Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge killed people because they wore glasses. And I'm just trying to say, once you get to a point where you have to be all one way and no one can have a dissenting opinion, it's very dangerous, Roland. It's just too dangerous, man. We as Black people only have one voice. I mentioned this on the talk. As white people, they can be Republican, Libertarian, Democrat. They can do whatever they want. But us, you can't even have. You better like the same hip hop I like. or you ain't even black. And I'm going, hey, man, this is dangerous, dude. There's a new generation that's coming up that really want to explore everything. I've been told everything since I was you can't ride horses. Black people don't do that. You can't do this because black people don't do that. And I'm really done with that. I think we can do anything we want to do.
Yeah, but here's the deal, though. First of all, look, we often say that. We say when someone says that black people don't do, that typically is based upon our experiences. And so we've all done that. We said, man, black folks, man, we don't swim. Yes, there are black people who swim, but it's a figure of speech. There are some things that you don't see a lot of black people doing. Look, I've been playing golf for 30 years. And in all 30 years, people are like, man, black folks don't play golf. And I'm like, nah, brother, they've been at the golf tee. And you have this long history of black golfers. And so for me, I don't necessarily, again, I understand where that's coming from, and I understand that in many ways that's somewhat of a figure of speech. But I do think this, and that because as somebody who uses words, as somebody who understands that words can be a weapon to fight for or to fight against. Words can also liberate. I think part of this issue, to be perfectly frank, is that the social media platform doesn't actually properly allow for discourse, in that when you type something, 100 people could be in this room right now and read that, and there could be 80 different interpretations of that. Right. But if I hear someone say something, I'm listening to tone. Yeah. I'm listening to, are they being sarcastic? Are they being funny? Are they being serious? Are they being angry? And you actually have the ability to explain something. That, to me, I think is sort of how I often see when I see a tweet. Because when I saw your tweet, my first response wasn't, Terry Crews ain't shit. My first response was, what is he talking about? Right. Which means I then need you to explain it, which then may cause me to ask a second question. That's what I think the problem is that you say something and it's a short statement and you know in your mind what you mean, but another person is inferring it in a totally different way. And there's no tone. There's nothing there. It's just the words just sort of sitting there, and it's left up to interpretation.
That's right. And this is the new era. It's the new day. I mean, everything can be taken out of context, which is so nuts. But do we stop talking? And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to just, just be quiet and shut up.
No. I don't think you should be quiet. Here's what I think Terry should do.
Okay.
Terry should make videos.
Yeah.
No. I'm serious. No, I'm being serious. First of all, Twitter allows for you, if you upload it at studio.twitter.com, it allows for you to actually upload up to 10 minutes of video. I just think that a tweet, few words, it causes somebody to say, what? What is he talking about? Versus, now here's the deal. You might do a video and folks are like, Ted Cruz still ain't shit. They still, but it allows for you to expound on it as opposed to it just sort of sitting there. And that to me is what stands out. Because again, you can have, people can infer any way they want to, and it can be all different meanings, and you're the author going, no, none of that was actually what I meant. Right. Well, because it was sort of left there.
Roland, I just want to say, man, that first of all, I love my people. I love black people. I love who we are. I love what we've been through. I know what we've been through. I have been the victim of many racist, like I said, I've had guns pointed at me by the police. And so I could have been George Floyd or Elijah McClain. And when I look at this stuff, I am sitting here saying, listen, we have a tremendous opportunity right now as a people that and this is another thing I learned from therapy, a lot of therapy, is that forgiveness is the only way to move past, okay? And I know that. See, even talking forgiveness is real early right now. It is. It's really early.
Oh yeah, no, right. Because here's the whole deal. Okay,
Yeah.
because my problem with the forgiveness conversation, we saw that with Mother Emanuel. White folks always want us to forgive real quick.
Right.
They still pissed off with 9/11.
Totally get it.
So my whole deal is, don't come to me asking for forgiveness when y'all still mad at what the hell the Iranians did in Tehran in 1979, but y'all totally ignoring when we overthrew Iran and Mossadegh in 1954. So don't be pissed off at them with 79 if you can't realize why they still pissed about 54. But I digress. Go on ahead.
No. First of all, I understand. But I almost ruined my own life by not forgiving. I mean, I could be in jail instantly. First of all, if I'd have hit that white man that molested me, I'd have been in jail. You understand what I'm saying? That was years of therapy that allowed me to walk away from something like that.
Right. You better than me, because I would have clocked his ass.
Listen, man. I'm trying to tell you it was a miracle from heaven, because I could have killed him, and I wanted to. But I'm trying to tell you, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today, Roland. That's the thing, man. There's so many things. Hey, man, I'm glad I can be canceled, because the other way, I'm in jail. You know what I'm saying? So which one do you want? I'd rather have this. I'd rather say, okay, you know what? Then, all right, maybe my voice is too big and I just got to calm it down. And maybe I should talk in another medium. I love that suggestion, because, again, things are too expansive for Twitter and the whole thing. But I have to say, I'm not afraid.
Right.
I am not afraid of speaking. I'm not afraid. Sometimes you just gotta, you gotta stand up.
Right.
And if people don't understand, this is why I'm on this show right now, to explain it even further.
I do have to ask you this. This is the final question. Yeah. And I keep seeing this. Folks are like, terror is in the sunken place. So when you hear that, how does that make you feel? That this notion that you are just in a whole other world and it's confusing.
You know, my feelings are hurt. Again, I have a broken heart. It's okay. There are family members I don't talk to anymore. I mean, it's lonely when you are trying to do something that no one's done before.
Hold up. There are family
members.
Wait a minute, because of this? Because of comments you made, there are family members who won't talk to you?
That's very true. Very true. But another thing you have to realize is that you have to be willing to just live your life. This is the thing. You cannot control someone and love them at the same time. If you are trying to control what I say, you are not loving me, okay? Listen, Roland, you can say whatever you want. Hey, man, I love you, bro. If you said something that I didn't agree with, I'm like, I love you. But it's when I say something you don't agree with, and now you hate me, I'm going, wow. So you're trying to control me. And that is what I'm saying. Love and control can't exist. I love my people. You can say whatever you want, but I got to be able to say what I want too, and we still got to love each other. But now I'm getting control. I'm getting shut up. Don't say nothing. Sit there. You should have sat there and ate your food. Hey, I see it all. But I'm not going to be controlled. I'm going to operate in love, and I'm going to continue to love you, and those that love me will understand.
Well, Terry Crews, I appreciate you accepting my text and agreeing to come on the show. It's all about, look, whether we agree, whether we disagree, it's important for us, I think, to talk, to explain these things out. Folks got a chance to hear you for about 40 minutes to hear your perspective. And so we appreciate it. Tell your wife I said hello and stay safe in this COVID-19 world.
Love you, brother. Thank you, sir.
Terry Crews, thanks a bunch. I appreciate it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, there are, a lot of NFL owners out there, NBA owners and hockey owners and soccer owners and baseball owners. But I don't think there's anybody who is as outspoken as Mark Cuban. He, of course, is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. You see him on Shark Tank as well. And someone you will never see in a jacket or a tie. Mark, how you doing?
Hey, I'm getting ready. Wait, can you see that? Hold on. This is for Terry Crews.
Well, he's going to follow you. But I do want to do this before we start. I do want to do this here, folks. Please go to my iPad. I want to personally thank Mark Cuban for donating $100,000 to the National Association of Black Journalists COVID-19 relief efforts in the name of Roger B. Brown and Martin McNeil, both of them two former Dallas Mavericks beat writers. Roger B. Brown was my dear friend, colleague. We were fraternity brothers. We spent lots of times at Dallas Mavericks games. He was a sports director at KKDA Radio, where I was the news director and morning anchor. And so, Mark, I just wanted to personally, I miss him dearly. Just want to certainly thank you for doing that on behalf of those two great sports writers.
Yeah, they were good guys, man. I loved having them at the games. They both had flair, and Marty, would pull no punches with me and take it to me. And Roger, he was one of a kind. So it was my pleasure to try to support in their name.
Indeed. Our favorite Mississippi homeboy. We definitely miss him. I was just talking with the Fritz Pollard Alliance, and I was talking about, of course, the issues the NFL is having. And I said it's very simple. There are only 32 owners. They're the ones who could change this. We can yell and scream and say, Roger Goodell, what are you doing? But he works for 32 owners. You're an owner. You understand that. Adam Silver works for the owners. And so what is it going to take for these owners to wake up and realize what the hell is going on? And they've got to diversify, not just with the people who are off the field, especially when you look at who's on the field.
Yeah, I mean, look, I heard you talking about Cap. I just don't get it. I mean, look, if Cap could play basketball, I'd sign him right now. I don't care. If Santa Claus can help me win, I'm all in. And so I don't get it on not at least giving Cap a tryout and bringing him to preseason. And in terms of just, diversity within the league, the NFL is just different than us. I mean, I can't explain why they've had so many challenges, and I don't talk to enough of those guys to really get a feel, Roland.
But I think that the NFL is a microcosm of what we're seeing in corporate America. I think what happens is, and right now, Mark, what you're seeing what I call revolts, rebellions happening inside of companies, where we have black staffers who for years have been saying these are the problems, but now all of a sudden you've got white allies who are also saying we're sick of this, and it's causing these companies to go, okay, what the hell? I mean, that was an advertising agency that their numbers were leaked, and the CEO was shocked to see, 2.5% black staffers, and then seeing no senior executives. And I attest that to people who, frankly, walk into a room, and if the room is all white, they're comfortable and don't even think about the fact that it's not diverse.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is white people don't like to think or talk about race. And I think we all, and I'm just as guilty of this in the past. If I think I'm colorblind, then it's not my problem, and I don't really have a problem. And it's not like white people sit around and say, okay, let's talk about race. Let's talk about the impact on our company. Let's talk about what's going on in the country. It's just not something we're comfortable doing. Just saying the term white race or white people makes any white person uncomfortable because we just don't discuss it. And if you don't feel comfortable discussing it, it's going to be very hard to implement it in a corporate environment. You're
absolutely right. I think back to when I was the only black male news reporter at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and that's where Roger B. Brown and I first met. And I remember. And I was actually making photocopies of my articles, getting ready to go to the Uni Journalists of Color convention the following week. And we had this huge window where the editorial meeting took place. And I'm standing there and I'm sitting there going, the room is all white. And they probably had two women. So one of the editors comes out, Mike Minikini, he sat near me, and I said, Mike, you ever notice there are no black people in that meeting? And he goes, no. I said, well, let me ask you this something, Mike. I said, if you went to the Women's Chambers of Commerce event, how fast would it take you to realize that you're one of the few men there? He said, I probably would figure it out real quick. I said, if you went to the Black Chamber of Commerce event, how long would it take you to figure out that you wanted a few white folks there? He said, probably pretty quickly. I said, but if you went to the Chamber of Commerce, the main one, I said, would you notice that the room was nearly all white? He said, no. And I said, Mike, and that's the difference between me and you. I always notice if the room is all black, if it's women, if it's all white, if it's all Latino, because I have to understand where I am at all times. And I said, and that's part of the problem.
And it's even more than that, Roland. So if I go someplace that is all black and I'm one of the few, if not only white person there, historically I thought, oh, this is no big deal. See, I'm not racist. This is not a problem for me. I can deal with this. And then you move on. I would never translate it to say, okay, what about the opposite side of that? How does that impact, people of color or people of different ethnicities or LGBTQ or, women? It's just not something that we typically talk about as white people. And I think that is the core of what needs to change.
This moment that we're in, I've said this consistently. I cannot recall in my 51 and a half years where we have seen this type of change in 5 weeks. George Floyd was murdered 5 weeks ago yesterday. And a lot has happened. A lot continues to happen. I just saw another story. 300 Target and Best Buy have joined. 350 companies are now pulling their money out of Facebook to say, unless you deal with racism on Facebook, we're not spending money. 350 companies. That's happened in a week.
Yep. Things move fast. And who I give a lot of credit to is Gen Z. Not even millennials, Gen Z. Because they really have grown up in a world. I mean, and look, the oldest Gen Z person is what, 21, 22 years old?
Right.
They've grown up in a world where biracial dating is not something to even look twice at. Your age, my age, we still look at that and we have, at least for me, I have to say, no, that's not a big deal. Because where I grew up and the people I grew up around in my neighborhood, that was a big deal. For them, it's not. And in fact, it's even bigger than that because they've grown up on social media and how they present themselves, how they present what they wear, how they present the products and services they buy and use, who their friends are, and when they present them on Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and wherever, that really defines who they are to all their friends. And so if they don't recognize the changes in society, if they're not part of those changes, they're going to stand out as not being up to speed with their peers. And so I think that's had a lot to do with it.
I'm the Vice President Digital for the National Association of Black Journalists. Last year, we met with the senior leadership team at ABC News, and we were talking about their lack of senior executives. And in that conversation, they said that, they had offered jobs to several different people, but none took them. And I said, you probably have a culture problem. And they sort of looked at me and said, no. I said, you probably need to examine your culture. Well, right now, their vice president, head of talent, is on administrative leave because of alleged racial and discriminatory language. You had to deal with this culture issue. You had to confront turning your entire organization upside down. Your former CEO, Tadima Ussery, who I know personally, you had to examine that, and you had to look at yourself. And you were very open and honest about what you as a man, how you had to confront these allegations of sexual harassment and the treatment of women within your organization. What was that? How hard was that for you to have to confront that?
It was brutal, but it was not nearly as hard as what the women in the organization had to go through. I always thought that I treated everybody equally, but to me, it was like a math equation. If I said something stupid to a man, okay, I could say the same stupid sophomoric thing to a woman. That meant, I treated them equally. If I said something to an African-American or to a Latinx or to a white person, that meant I was treating them equally. But then through that difficult process, I learned the hard way that treating people equally does not mean treating them the same. That trying to be colorblind was a mistake, not an accomplishment. And that was the hard lesson that I learned and has really, pushed me forward in all of this. Because the hardest part, Roland, was finding out that, there were women at the organization that were afraid to go to work, that it was painful for them to go to work. And I didn't see it, and I had somebody there that was making it worse. And so, recognizing that, and I guess the takeaway for me and where I've really tried to grow from it was that I had to really dig in to treat people, to really get to know who a person was in order to be able to work with them, and to put together an organization and culture that was supportive of them, that everybody comes from a different place. And if I just treated people equally, treating people the same, that it doesn't respect their differences. And by not respecting their differences, not only was I creating a culture that was difficult for women in particular, but it was bad business. Because, we had white guys who looked like me trying to sell to Latinx women Mavs tickets. The Indian community is the 6th largest in the United States, and we didn't have anybody from that community selling to the community. We didn't have enough African Americans selling into the African American community or helping us with marketing, the people who knew the community best. And so I learned, like I said, being colorblind is the worst way to be, and it's really bad business.
You brought in Cent Marshall to be the CEO. She worked at AT&T. Had a chance to meet her again when I was at the All-Star game in Chicago. Had no idea she was such a huge fan of mine. And again, she comes in. So you go from a black male CEO, Terdima Usry, to a black female CEO in Cent Marshall. What did her perspective, what again, how she saw it? So here you are looking at your organization, and then she's now looking at the organization. What was it like to sit here and you've been working with her and looking at how she sees it totally different than you?
Well, the difference was I could see it and look at it. She could feel it and experience it. She knew what people had been through as a woman, as an African-American woman, as a cancer survivor, as someone who had, risen up the corporate ladder and faced a lot of, harassment and discrimination in various places along her career. And so she could feel the difference, and that feeling, and I say feeling, it's truly intellectual as well, let her understand how to talk to people, how to hire better, how to interview better, how to have the right people, not only finding talent, but interviewing the talent and understanding where they were coming from, recognizing that, your resume wasn't necessarily the best way to gauge hiring, that there was more to a person's background, and then being able to translate that into business. That is just such a varied skill set that she just, had in every which way, that I didn't have. And that really just revitalized the entire organization. And I can't even thank her. There's not enough ways to thank Cent Marshall for not only what she did for the Mavs, but what she's taught me.
I interviewed Mitch Landrieu, of course, former mayor of New Orleans. And in the interview, we talked about what he went through when he took down the Confederate statues in New Orleans. And in his book, he said something that was interesting. He talked about white fear. And he said, when it came to white fear, he said, white people, I know black people. They're not going to do to us what we did to them. It's okay. Stop freaking out. And Mitch and I talked about it. And I have been making this point. I'm actually working on a book dealing with this, that this moment that we're in and what we're dealing with, Mark, we're dealing with white fear, power, control. Oh, my God. The majority of kids in America 18 and under are people of color. Oh, my goodness, in 23 years, America's going to be a majority-minority country. What's going to happen? And I think the issue with Cap, it was white America was raised how they view the flag. And the anthem is different than black folks. Black folks, very much patriotic, but we know there were black soldiers who were lynched in their uniforms. We know that there were black GIs who could not buy houses and get loans and work in corporate America when they came back from World War II, came back from Korea and the Vietnam War. And so I think what is happening right now is there's this shift that's going on is you have this older generation that's like, but can we just hold on to old America as long as we can?
That's it. That's 100% it. They're trying to hold on to the way they like things to be. And that's always been the case, whether it's the 2020s or it's the 2000s or it's the 1970s, 60s, 50s. The oldest generation, they've been through it, they've seen their lives, and they're trying to hold on and don't want to deal with change. And it's just passing them by. The silent generation, the older boomers, I mean, it's hitting them right in the face. Like, I'll do certain interviews and the hate emails I get, but every single email I get from someone who's obviously white is always the same. It's like, first thing they write, I'm not a racist, because they get so defensive. And that's part of the problem. When white people hear the term white privilege, none of us say, what does that really mean? Right? We immediately get defensive and think, privilege, let me tell you a story, right? Whether it's their personal story, their parents' story, their grandparents. And I'm like, we're a nation of immigrants. Everybody has that story. And so it's not about that. And then you try to explain to them what white privilege is. And even then, they don't want to hear it. They get so defensive. Right. And we immediately create this response, right? We create this equivalency that says, I can't be a racist because. Right. And that's what we have to overcome. And that's why I've been trying to speak out, because I've got to get into the heads of white people and say, white privilege has nothing to do with you personally. White privilege has nothing to do with anything that's happened in your family history at all. Nothing at all. Well, why use the term white privilege? You use the term white privilege because it pisses you off and it freaks you out and makes you think. If they would have just said white skin issues, people would have just ignored it, or whatever other term, right? And so trying to get, it's uncomfortable for white people to deal with it, to address the term white privilege, but that's part of what we have to do. And, like you referred to, the older generation is going to fall off. And I really, really believe that the younger generations are just going to laugh at this point in time and look to see how stupid, their parents and grandparents were in dealing with race issues.
The only problem that we're seeing, though, when we look at this polling data, the racial views that even younger whites are having, and I keep telling people, Jim Crow had children, and Jim Crow will have grandchildren. And so one of the reasons why I very rarely call someone a racist is because, not that they're not a racist, it's because that, and this happened on TV. I was at CNN for 6 years, and it drove me crazy when we would have these debates, and I would just say, this is just stupid. Because this is what you would say, that's racist. And then the conversation becomes, so no, it's not. So then it's like, racist, not racist. Racist, not racist. And I'm like, no. The issue, so now that's the debate, as opposed to all that stuff in between. What you said, what you did. And so what I focus on is what you said, what you did. Forget the label. And I'm like, no, what you did was racist. What you said was racist. Now let's talk about that versus racist, not racist, not racist, racist. And then that just takes a debate down a rabbit hole, and then you never deal with actually what happened.
You'll never solve that, right? And the worst part is talking to white people, and again, trying to create those conversations. It's trying to get them to understand the subtle things that we do that, you don't, even I don't like to use the term racist for the reasons you mentioned, the subtle things that extend systemic racism, right? The systemic aspect of it. Who's doing the interview? Yeah, you're going out there and you're checking off the box and you're bringing in a lot of African Americans and women to be interviewed, but the person doing the interviewing is white and 60 years old, right? And is not going to relate to a 22-year-old African-American transgender, whoever, pick whoever is fitting in that's young that they're not going to relate to. And so there's little things like that, or today, I got this email from this elderly lady, and who was trying to convince me that white people don't need to have these conversations. It's not our problem, et cetera, because she listens to hip hop music. And, it's just, and I said to her, do you have any friends that you think are racist? And she said, yeah, and I've stayed friends with them. And I said, did you ever say anything to this person to try to convince them that they're wrong, or even suggest to them that they shouldn't be doing these things? Yeah, I tried. And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole thing. That's why this is a white person problem, because we have to do more than try, because we all know which one of our friends, acquaintances, or coworkers are, if not overtly racist, subtly racist.
Right.
And it's up to us when we hear and see those things, instead of just shaking our head and say, boy, that's not me, I'm not racist, and say, no, look, for the betterment of the country, when we pledge allegiance to the flag, it's for liberty and justice for all. And so if that flag truly means anything to you, and liberty and justice for all, your pledge means anything to you, you've got to do more than, if they don't respond, just accept it. You've got to say, come on, man, this is not right. Why are you there? Let's talk about this. Or let's get somebody you can talk to. Because if that person is even minimally, subtly racist at work, that's what they're conveying to their kids.
When we talk about, again, this notion of white fear, money also comes up. And this is what I keep telling people. If you want to understand America, you got to deal with money. And I mentioned Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg didn't give a damn what everybody thought. He was kind of like, whatever. You had, of course, African-American CEO Ken Chenault, led American Express for years, was on his board, who resigned saying he won't listen. Okay? So companies went, okay, Mark, we're going to get your attention. Pull our money out. Pull our money out. Okay, $56 billion knocked off because of the stock price. And what I keep telling folks is, and Dr. King understood this with Operation Breadbasket, if you want, the only way you can confront and change America, you've got to deal with money. When that black football player at Ole Miss said, I'm not playing another down as long as that flag stays up, and they saw that other black ball player transfer, and then all of a sudden, those coaches were like, hey,
guess what?
Y'all got to bring this flag down, because if there's a rebellion among these black ball players, we ain't got nothing. SEC saying no championships in the state. That's what brought that flag down.
Yep. Yeah, look, there's no question money matters. And what I would tell you, Roland, is bottom-up money matters as much, if not more. Because where we're really going to have an impact is by investing in people of color, women of color, in their businesses and helping them grow. Because, as I said about the Mavs, the lesson I learned, there's a phenomenal business opportunity selling into the communities of color, selling into ethnic communities, and the best people with the best capabilities to sell and to create businesses for those communities are the people who live there. And so I'm out there knocking on doors, trying to create opportunities and invest. And I've invested over the last couple of years tens of millions of dollars into people of color, and they've done well, because as much as the big companies like to think that they're checking the boxes and doing the right thing, all the people who are out there grinding and hustling and starting small, Damon John, my buddy from Shark Tank, calls it the power of broke. They're the ones that are going to create the world-changing businesses. And to me, that's where the greatest money is going to speak the loudest.
Look, I've spent 6 years at CNN, 13 years at TV One Cable Network, 11 years on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. And when my TV One show ended, I said, no, I got to launch a digital show. And folks told me, dude, you're nuts. Folks were like, man, but we would love for you to go back to CNN or MSNBC. I was like, no. I said, I did that already. And the fact of the matter is, I wouldn't be in control of the show. And so when we started this.
How do you think they felt when we started the whole streaming industry 25 years ago?
Right.
They were like, you're an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen TV?
No, and I remember. People were like, real player? Yeah, whatever. And in fact, I was working at the Star Telegram, and they had a thing called Star Text. And I used to go down to their offices, and the reporters were like, Roland, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm trying to tell y'all that's where we're going. And the thing is, when I launched this here, what my producer, he was like, Roland, do a podcast. I said, nah. He's like, why? I said, because I actually launched the first Black News Source podcast in 2005. And I said, no, I'm telling you, video news show. I said, that's the next thing. And all these people were saying, you're nuts, you're crazy. And look, we bootstrapped it. It was like, hey, I mean, it was like took cuts, lived off of my speeches, and we just been building it. But the whole thing is, now all of a sudden people are going, whoa, you've grown this thing. You're going to hit 600,000 subscribers on YouTube. Y'all now doing 20 million views a month, because the audience, I kept saying, ain't nobody doing black news. The audience is there. But if you super serve the audience, they will respond. And too many of these people are bypassing black entrepreneurs and Latino entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs who are going, trust me, we know our audience. But don't think they're not there.
You know how much buying power you have, too. right? And it's just, look, the pandemic is horrible in so many ways. The civil unrest is great in some ways, but the riot and looting were painful in a lot of ways, as obviously George Floyd and all the deaths have been. But when we look back at 2020, the summer of 2020, we're going to see so many great businesses that were created, so much social change that came out of this. But this is such a unique time to start a business because, like, you mentioned Zuckerberg and Facebook, all the old school legacy businesses, and I'm including Facebook as an old school company that's been around almost 20 years, they're trying to protect their legacy businesses. They're trying to get back to doing it the way it's always been done. There are a lot of people of color, there are a lot of young people, Gen Z, that are out there starting businesses that don't have to protect old parts of their business. They get to disrupt. They get to just walk in and say, this is the way I envision America 2.0 looking and working. And so I'm going to create a business this way. I work with this kid, Ezel Moon, who's doing interviews on Instagram and on YouTube, trying to mentor him to get him going through for this very reason, because there's nobody out there that's doing interviews of young people of color. Black news, you're right on, Roland. There's a whole market there. And, you should probably talk to Ezel because there's a whole market for young oriented news as well, and interviewing young people of color. Ezel Moon, EZEL Moon on Instagram, and his actual personal one is Resolute King. But he's talented as hell, and there's going to be so many opportunities and so many world-changing companies created out of this pandemic that in 20 years we're going to look back and just say, wow.
Final question for you. You have been an extremely vocal critic of Donald Trump. You went on Sean Hannity's show, didn't get many words in with all the nonsense from Sean. But the point we talked about earlier, Donald Trump is appealing. He's pushing those racial buttons, and he is appealing to the people who want the America of 1940, 50, 60, and 70, and they do not want this multicultural America that we have right now.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. And, he can't stop it. It's just the reality. The door is open, and you've got the, majority, minority that are walking through it right now. Right now, this is a point in time. That's why the NBA has really been so smart. There are only so many points. There's probably in each individual's lifetime one time when you can have dramatic social change for the better, where any individual, because of the social media online world that we live in, can really contribute to making the country better. We are in the midst of one of those moments right now. And any of us, in particularly white people, but all of us have got to contribute and step up where we can to make this thing really stick and really happen faster. And like you said it, Roland, 5 weeks. All this has happened in 5 weeks. Think about what we can do the next 5 weeks.
Well,
next 5 months.
Yep, this is what I call the third Reconstruction. We had one from 1865 to 1877, another from 1954 to 1968. This is the third Reconstruction, and we should fix in this one what we knew didn't get fixed in the first two. Mark Cuban, great conversation. Wish we could chat more. Well, you're welcome to come back on Roland Martin Unfiltered anytime. I would love to get back to Dallas. I have a house there. My parents live there in my house with my sister and my niece. But I don't play with this COVID stuff. So I need to tamp down in my home state before I come back.
Wear a mask. That's all I can say. Wear a mask. I got mine right over there.
Oh, no. We keep the mask right here. So I got the kente cloth mask. So.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Don't cut me up. Yeah.
Of course you got a Mavericks mask. So I gotta get my guys. I gotta order me a Roland Martin Unfiltered mask. Cause trust me, I'm with you. It's always branding. Trust me.
Always.
All right, Mark Cuban, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ron. I loved it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, folks. Back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
All right, folks, folks at Seek.com, partnership with us. Folks have these headphones, amazing headphones. And also there's this virtual reality headset right here. Of course, the headphone, 360-degree, 4D, amazing sound. You absolutely love it for gaming, for listening to music, for watching movies, you name it. Go to Seek.com, CEEK.com, and use this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020, right here. And so, folks, again, and so Mary Spio is a sister. She is the inventor of this. It's her website as well. So it's Seek.com, CEEK.com. Hey, Donald Trump tweeted this. Go to my iPad. New York City is cutting police money by $1 billion, and yet the mayor is going to paint a big, expensive yellow Black Lives Matter sign on Fifth Avenue, denigrating this luxury avenue. This will further antagonize New York's finest, who love New York and vividly remember the horrible BLM chant, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. Maybe our great police, who have been neutralized and scorned by a mayor who hates and disrespects them, won't let this symbol of hate be affixed to New York's greatest street. Spend this money fighting crime instead. This symbol of hate. This was the exchange between Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary for Trump, as well as Jonathan Karl of ABC News about Black Lives Matter. Watch this.
Why is the president calling Black Lives Matter a symbol of hate?
Well, what the president was noting is that that symbol, when you look at some of the things that have been chanted by Black Lives Matter, like pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon, that's not an acceptable phrase to paint on our streets. Look, he agrees that all Black Lives Matter, including that of Officer David Dorn, Patrick Underwood, two officers whose lives were tragically taken amid these riots. All Black lives do matter. He agrees with that sentiment. But what he doesn't agree with is an organization that chants pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon about our police officers, our valiant heroes who are out on the street protecting us each and every day.
Americans of all races have protested in all 50 states around that phrase, Black Lives Matter, and the president is here calling it a symbol of hate?
He's talking about the organization. I would note to you that the greater New York BLM president has said if this country doesn't give us what we want, that we will burn down the system, and I could be speaking literally. I'd call that a pretty hateful statement.
Yes, Ben. He's not talking about the organization in his tweet. He says the words. Ben. He says the words. Black Lives Matter.
What's the name of the organization again?
Black Lives Matter.
There you go. You just answered my question. Go ahead, Ben.
Question on coronavirus.
All right, here's first of all, Mayor. Donald Trump and Kayleigh McEnany ain't got a damn clue what the hell Black Lives Matter is.
And you know, the unfortunate part is that most white people, including the individual and like-minded individuals like the one that painted over our beautiful mural in the street, don't want to know. They are willfully ignorant. And they're purposefully not trying to understand what this is all about. And we cannot, Black people, do not be distracted by stupidity and willful ignorance of these people. It doesn't make sense. And that's all it is. And leaders, step up, stand up. We need you more than ever right now, especially Black leaders. But the problem is they don't want to know, Roland. They want to be ignorant. They want to act like it's a symbol of hate. They don't want to feel it. And look, this is the deal. I told them this. Advance to the rear. We're okay with that. This change is happening, and we are not stopping. This momentum here that I have here in Moss Point, here in the state of Mississippi, we're going to keep pushing, and I'm going to keep galvanizing my people, white people and Black people. We're going to keep bringing everybody to the table. We want to hear your voices because I want to identify the ones that we can't count on, but I want to make sure that we count the ones that we can.
Here's why
we need to move forward.
Here's why this is a joke, Tiffany. This is the actual chant. Well, folks, listen to this.
A disturbing turn. This from Minnesota. Watch.
Blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a 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 blanket.
Marching at the state fair, chanting horrific things.
Tiffany, that was 5 years ago. That was one group of protesters. One group of protesters in Minneapolis who were I'm sorry, what did I just say? A group of protesters in Minneapolis? Where was George Floyd killed? In Minneapolis.
Wow, look at that.
Where was Philando Castile killed? In Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
But the fact that one group of protesters in Minneapolis 5 years ago Now, the entire Black Lives Matter movement, they all believe this. Sit the hell down.
Here's my problem. My problem is, ironically, for the first time ever, I'm going to say Fox News got it right. And Roland, I've known you for years and been on your show. I've never said this. But 3 days ago, Fox News actually put up the demands, and they named the organization correctly. To be clear, the Movement for Black Lives is an organization. Black Lives Matter is the campaign, is the theme, is the people, is the hashtag. Fox News reported, and I have it right here, they said the Movement for Black Lives has 10 demands and then listed the demands correctly. Reparations, no bail, release all prisoners from jail, no death penalty, free education, free health care, defund the police, cut the military budget, redistribution of wealth, and publicly financed campaigns. So that, like the mayor said earlier, folks who don't want to know are going to continue to make up the lies that they want to believe in because they don't want to see it any other way. But the important thing is, if you have questions, we have this amazing tool that is available to everybody called Google. And all you got to do is Google Movement for Black Lives and investigate on their website, what are they actually calling and demanding for? And Fox News, for the first time, did that work and was able to clearly articulate what the demands are. I don't care what people were chanting 5 years ago. I don't care what the white people are chanting when they come out to the marches this year. What I care about is, what are the stances, the agenda, and the leadership demanding and working on to get for our communities? And as long as Donald Trump continues to dog whistle our communities, we're going to continue to see this narrative of fake lies and fake news because he wants to win in November 3rd, and he's mad that he's not going to.
And Mayor King, you have the Department of Homeland Security announcing they're sending rapid deployment teams across the country to protect Confederate statues. Well, ain't that something? How about you actually protect Black lives that are being lost, not a bunch of stone, Mayor?
They don't really care about us. They again, which is the reason that Tiffany, you said it, which is the reason for this, another reason for this movement. They're not trying to protect Black people. They're not trying to change policy, but they're mad and they're trying to deflect on all the things that are happening. But we got to be stronger. We must be more stronger when it comes down to these policies. We must put meaningful and intentional policies in place, and we cannot allow racist, ignorant people to change the way we feel or to change the way we react. And so again, Tiffany, you've really killed me today. I just want to say thank you, but it's important. It's so vital that we
Black brother. Hold on, Black brother. I don't want to kill you. I want to make sure you living and thriving in liberation. I don't want to kill nobody. Wait a minute, brother. Go ahead, Mr.
It's a figure of speech.
I love you. I don't want to kill my black kings. We're gonna keep you here. Go ahead.
Look, I appreciate that, Tiffany. You're right. I want you got me living, baby. But I want to say this. They take down the Confederate flag here. There is so much more work to be done in Mississippi. There are Confederate statues down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. There's still only one Black mayor on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Out of all the CEOs on the Gulf Coast, there's only one Black one, and that's me, the mayor. There's not any. We have so much work to do when it comes down to making sure that Black lives actually matter here in the state of Mississippi. What's crazy is how openly stupid and how openly racist is that what we're seeing. If you just go to my Facebook page and just see the ignorance displayed by these white people and the threats that, oh, we got guns, we have this, we're going to kill him, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They're not trying. You think any of them have protected me? Nobody but my police department. But do you think anybody have called? You think anybody have? No, they have allowed these people to be ignorant. But today, we get a call from the sheriff's department about this one white man who's upset because he decided to come and vandalize a painting that represented him and everybody else, and he was too ignorant to even see that. So it's so crazy what we see. His daughter, she called today, and you know what they're doing in Mississippi now? I got emails, I have Facebook posts. They want to remove Martin Luther King's name from all of the streets in the state of Mississippi. You know,
Wow.
They have a petition going around. This is the type of stupidity that we're experiencing here on the ground in Mississippi since the Confederate statue. They're talking about the Medgar Evers Monument, burning down the house. All of these types of things are the things that are now being displayed and are actually being showcased on social media and the news. But you don't hear them talking about protecting Medgar Evers' house. You don't see them putting more security out there, but they want to put more security around a Confederate statue. I wish they would try to do some foolishness like that on this coast while I'm the mayor, because I promise you, you think that y'all have seen a movement, it will be one greater than you've ever seen, because I'm a mayor that's going to speak up, and I'm a mayor that don't have an administrator. I am the manager. So I will make sure that we don't have foolishness like that. I'm not afraid of this stuff, and I think we need more leaders. Leadership is poor, and these people are listed. Every time Donald Trump says something stupid like Black Lives Matter is a symbol of hate, you give these idiots a platform to try to speak up and speak out, and they're stupid right behind them. They're following this idiot.
Right.
And that's not right.
Robert, here's the deal, Robert, here's the deal here. Donald Trump only has one card to play. It's not the economy. He can't do that. Axios, which, okay. They out with a report saying that he regrets following Jared Kushner and getting criminal justice reform because that's not going to get him any more votes. Donald Trump, his only card to play is white racial resentment.
Well, it's a tough spot to be in if you're the progressives within the Republican movement or even the moderates who want to get things done, because as President Trump has gone along, all of that African-American outreach has not worked. The same people who were at the Black People for Trump event 5 years ago were the same ones who were in Tulsa. The idea of getting more females on board with Ivanka Trump leading that campaign, that didn't work. The idea of getting more Latinos on board, that hasn't worked. Running on the economy has just fallen from under him because we realize that, guess what? The president does not control the economy. Outside events do. And the stock market has nothing to do with how average Americans live. The stock market is hitting a record this week while nearly 50 million people are unemployed. So the president, I think, is falling to his most nativist instincts, keeping Stephen Miller around, Steve Bannon part of the party that can only lead him to a place where we are arguing about Confederate statues instead of the unemployment rate.
Lauren, I just, again, watching this at play, I'm just sort of laughing at these people because, I've been saying this for years, white fear, they cannot handle what's going on. It's driving them crazy, Lauren.
That's by the idea that they don't know what it means to deface something that says Black Lives Matter. The president doesn't really understand what he's doing. It's like the Drew Brees thing. Drew Brees knew what the phrase Black Lives Matter meant. They knew that whole ridiculousness about saying that you were attacking our military somehow had something to do with Colin Kaepernick kneeling. They know exactly what it means. The real statement here is that the fact that we are centering African Americans is bothersome to them says all you need to know about American history for the last 400 years. The fact that it is an outrageous statement to make that Black lives in fact matter, the fact that it was painted in front of Trump Tower in Manhattan, and the fact that the president equates that with some sort of a problem or some sort of a, something wrong with centering Black lives and saying they actually matter, says it all. And they understand exactly what it means. That's exactly the problem. And I love the fact that Jonathan Karl was able to say at the White House that, not only is it strange that the president is saying that, but in fact that the demonstrations that we're seeing are not just African Americans, it's other Americans as well. It's a diverse coalition out there. And of course, they can't get around that. That's even a tougher nut to crack because their cynical assumption, of course, is that everybody is racist like they are. Everybody tends to think that you think as I do, and Donald Trump has that mentality, and that's why he's going to lose in November.
story. Fox Soul announced that they will no longer air the scheduled 4th of July speech by Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. They put out this statement right here. Go to my iPad, please. On July 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern, Fox Soul will present a special program hosted by Dr. Sean featuring a compilation of the most powerful speeches from the greatest black leaders and thinkers about racial relations and civil rights in America. This powerful and inspirational program replaces the previously scheduled Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan's message to America. Now, Fox Soul, of course, is a live streaming site. You can see them on YouTube, Facebook, but also online as well. I'll start with you, Wendy. You had a number of Jewish organizations who demanded that Fox Soul not air this, saying Minister Louis Farrakhan is an anti-Semite, that he is a racist as well. What do you make of the pressure applied for them? And again, this is a streaming service that targets African Americans. And for a lot of people, not a lot of folks, again, are not accepting of this relationship that exists between Nation of Islam leader Minister Louis Farrakhan and black media or black targeted media. And that seems to be what's going on here.
I think is actually really interesting. And I knew something was going to come down the pike because when it was announced that Minister Farrakhan would be speaking, I believe as Jay Tapper from CNN, he released a statement, quote, retweeted and said, why would you have somebody that's not only anti-Semite, but is against the LGBTQ plus community come on your show?
And then Ice Cube responded with a tweet saying, watch your mouth, Jake.
Exactly. Yeah, he sure did. So I knew that there was going to be something that happened. And I just feel like whether you look at Fox Soul or you look at other networks, they are having almost a knee-jerk reaction to people who are saying someone needs to be on the show versus someone not being on the show. So I think that right now what every streaming service, what every cable news network needs to do is just to really come out with clear guidelines on what is their mission, what is their core values, and what will they allow. Because now I feel like other questions can be poked to Fox Soul and other networks on who they invite to their network and who is allowed to have a platform.
But again, Kelly, what you're dealing with here is I've heard white hosts say, well, wait a minute, African Americans, you might complain about somebody else with racist language. Then you have Jewish folks who say Minister Farrakhan has used hateful racist language towards them, towards whites as well. And so you have this dichotomy, but then you look at the Million Man March. More than 1 million. You look at the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March, 400,000 plus. You look at the 20th anniversary, you had upwards of 200,000 people. And so you have this strange dynamic that white America has no understanding why the Nation of Islam and Minister Louis Farrakhan appeals to a lot of black people.
I would venture to say not only that, but I think that Minister Farrakhan doesn't necessarily resonate with a whole lot of black people, too. I mean, you have black people who are Jewish. You have black people in the LGBT plus community. But also, Fox Soul is white-owned. So it's a multi-layered issue, and there's a lot of dynamics in play that I simply cannot flesh out in the 30 seconds that I have. But what I will say is that I do think it's problematic when black voices are reduced to a monolith. And Minister Farrakhan has spent his entire life and legacy and career, what have you, basically dismantling the fact that black people are a monolith in thought. So I do find it a little bit problematic that they shut him down because of that. But I also see the rationale behind possibly protecting the audience that is black Jewish people, that is black LGBT plus, that is black Jewish and LGBT plus. I mean, there's a lot of intersectionality going on, and it is I don't want to say confusing, but it is conflicting. So I don't have the answer, but I do find it problematic.
But Chris, first of all, do you think it was smart for them to do so, to pull Minister Farrakhan's speech from Fox Soul?
Yeah, I think so. Look, but there's a larger problem here. And this larger problem is relative to and this has been going on, and I think it's going on more and more now. A whole discussion about platforms like Fox Soul, Black this, Black that, Black the other. Here's my question, though. My question is, how involved are Black people? Who's making those decisions? That's the larger problem for me.
So are you saying that let's put it out here. Are you saying that even though Fox Soul is Black targeted, that if a Black network or a Black streaming service, a Black-owned network or a Black streaming service, if they chose to carry Minister Farrakhan's speech, you would not have seen the same attacks against them as you saw against Fox?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I think in that particular case, it's the question of what the message is, them knowing who their audience actually is. And I think that's a large part of the problem. Look, we keep getting like Fox Soul. I mean, okay, so you target Black people. Wow, thanks. I'm not sure, though, in the decision-making process, how much you understand the audience and how much you understand the differing views there. And I think there's more of an argument to be made for that.
So I'll put this out here because it's very interesting. I've had conversations with Black folks privately, and they'll say, absolutely, I have a problem with Minister Farrakhan's language when it comes to Jews. I have a problem with his language when it comes to LGBT. But then they say, on the other hand, it resonates when he's talking about white supremacy. If you go back, and again, I'm just taking this thing through history. If you look at the appeal of the Nation of Islam in late 50s and 60s, you sort of had this same thing. And I don't think when the white America actually understands any of those dynamics that exist in the Black community.
I think that what you said is a contention that I often feel as a woman who loves hip hop, right? Like you just described it beautifully. It's a hard relationship. You love a genre, but in that same lyrics, they are saying things that are misogynist, right? So when we look at Minister Farrakhan, there is a history that speaks to the upliftment of Black people, that speaks to the issues of white supremacy in this nation. But in the same conversation, you have to be able to also discuss how some of his comments are anti-Semitic, how some of his comments speak against the LGBTQ plus community. And what does that do for people who are members of the Black community who identify with that other group? What does that do for our brothers in the Black community and our sisters in the Black community who are also members of the LGBTQ plus community? And that is an issue. So yes, I understand where there might be tension, but I don't think that white people understand the complicated relationship that exists where you have this individual who speaks about the advancement and upliftment of Black people, but in the same token, can you speak for the advancement and upliftment of Black people when you're not speaking about all Black people? Or are you just speaking about the Black people who do not also fall into these other two categories? And there lies the contention.
So go ahead, Chris.
No, it seems to me that the analysis is both and, not either or. Are you simply going to say, he's done these things, he said these things, therefore he is not good, his voice should not be heard? Or are you going to do both? And that's the question. I think it's both and. I don't think it's either or. And we keep getting locked into these binary choices about it's either A or B. And particularly in Black communities, there are a number of complications. For me, for example, as someone who is Black and conservative, it's a whole lot going on there. And so I think being able to understand that is part of the discussion.
So Kelly, with that, so if there are people who say, hey, I see Richard Spencer, David Duke, and Louis Farrakhan as all the same, and that is three races, 2 white, 1 Black. Are they correct or are they wrong?
I feel like that is a hyperbole of a comparison. I don't recall David Duke truly doing anything for the upliftment of an entire community that remotely compares to what Farrakhan has done for the Black community. It's not like David Duke upholds an ideology that is anti-everything. It is wholly xenophobic, and it doesn't do anybody any favors whatsoever. I do not put him in the same category as Louis Farrakhan. However, when I can't remember her name, but the panelist who was talking about the hip hop analogy, I really liken it to that. Wendy, thank you. I'm sorry. I liken it to that. It is one of those things where it's conflicting, but because we are all a community, I do feel like there's a level of accountability that we can hold Minister Farrakhan to still, even though he has established a legacy and a platform. There is always time for change as long as you're on this side of the ancestral plane, right? So he has done tremendous work in the Black community through the Nation of Islam, but also he needs to understand that there are Black people who are Jewish. There are Black people who are part of the LGBTQ community. And if they are not included in the conversation in a positive light, then it negates all the work that he's done. Because all Black lives matter. And I shouldn't have to put the all in there as a qualifier. But we have to now, because we are in a situation where this movement is happening. Like Wendy said, we are in the middle of a reckoning. But in the midst of this reckoning, we have entire sects of our own community being left out because they don't meet the status quo or the norm or what we perceive Black people are supposed to be. In other words, we have a lot of people in the Black Lives Matter movement, ironically, that want us to be a monolith. And
first of all, that's never going to happen.
Black women, Black queer women.
But here's the deal, though. There's no monolith. Okay, so the bottom line is this here. You got Black people who are LGBT who absolutely detest Louis Farrakhan, and there's some who don't. You've got Black Christian people who say, I believe he's anti-Semitic, others who say he's taking down white supremacy. And that's what I'm saying. The thing here that's interesting is that, again, Fox Soul got pressure here. If a Black-owned outlet had chosen to air the speech, I don't believe for a second you would actually have this level of reaction. I don't.
Yeah. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
So that's what I'm saying. So I don't. And so, again, I did reach out to Minister Farrakhan today. We did talk offline. And hopefully, after he speaks July 4th, we will have him on to talk about this and other issues as well.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Donald Trump. Oh, he loves himself some white power. We've always known that. From the moment he ran for office, he was appealing to the racial views of white Americans, which he wrote to the White House. On Sunday, he decided to retweet a video of some seniors in a retired community in Florida where they were protesting for and against him. But this video is what the problem was.
Where's your white hood? Where's your white hood? Racist. Yeah, you got it. White power. Yeah, there you go. White power. You hear that? Fuck Trump. Oh, would you stop the language? Fuck Trump. Nasty language. Oh. Listen to your president if you want nasty language, you idiot. Officer! Get back in your car, that's what she said to me. Get back in your car, asshole. Pick out a woman, dickwad. Yeah, you big boy. Come on, you touch me. Hey, where's the officer?
Where's the officer? Where's the officer? We don't need fucking Nazi pig. This isn't what we are. Oh my God. No wonder. You don't.
You'll still be crying on November 3rd.
Oh, no.
Oh, too bad. Too bad. You'll be crying on
You're a Nazi. Beat me up. You can beat me up. Oh, you little turd. You fucking turd. Oh, you go. You're a fucking Nazi. Nazi racist pig. That's what you are.
We resemble that. We want it. We love it.
Trump. 4 more.
We're the minorities that support Trump. Exactly. They don't come out because they will not vote for him.
Where's your white hood? Where's your white hood? Where's your white hood?
Grab him by the pussy. Grab him by the pussy. Where's the truck?
Wow, Trump tweeted thank you to the great people of the villages. The radical left, do nothing Democrats will fall in the fall. Corrupt Joe is shot. See you soon. Hours later, Donald Trump deleted the tweet. Now, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, her first response was that, oh, Donald, he didn't see he didn't see it. Oh, he didn't hear the white power, even though it was at the beginning of the video. Then she came back out with a second statement stating that, well, he was really trying to show thank you to his supporters there in Florida who are often criticized by the left. So he was telling the racist thank you? Is that what we're doing now? He was telling the racist thank you? Folks, you see how this thing goes in terms of how their mind sort of operates. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump hasn't condemned it. In fact, the folks at Midas Touch, they actually dropped this particular video. So watch this here.
Hello, everyone. The transition to greatness has officially begun.
The ongoing coronavirus threat, the death toll in the U.S. now officially topping 110,000.
President Trump, the jobs president who created the hottest economy in modern history.
The National Bureau of Economic Research said we entered a recession in February.
Friday's jobs report was encouraging, to say the absolute least.
Look, there was a problem in how this was compiled.
The unemployment rate probably should have been more like 16.3%.
Once the National Guard came in, D.C. was secure.
Tear gas is now being fired. They don't want these protesters to be there, even though they were peaceful.
There's no regrets on the part of this White House. A Trump opportunity zone. We stand by those actions.
The President of the United States just tweeted, Buffalo protesters shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur.
He lies. He lies about things.
The fact that the Republican Party is now having to claim him is both unfortunate and, to me, inauthentic. Hello, everyone.
Oh, you got to give them credit for some of these great videos here. But again, they really did not want to address the whole white power comment, okay? And so this was what Ryan Lizza actually asked today at the White House, and she was just so offended he dared ask this.
Does President Trump believe that it was a good thing that the South lost the Civil War? And then two, is he interested in following NASCAR's example and banning the Confederate flag at his own events?
Well, your first question is absolutely absurd. He's proud of the United States of America. Second, with regard to our statues, Americans oppose tearing down our statues. There's a Harvard-Harris poll released just last week that shows 60% of respondents said the statues should remain, and 71% said local governments should block groups from physically destroying the statues. So he stands on the side of preserving our history.
Does he believe
Right. Well, yeah, that's nice. Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver joins us, political analyst. Mustafa Santiago Ali, PhD, former senior advisor to the Environmental Justice EPA. Michael Brown, former vice chair, DNC Finance Committee. Folks, I think somebody has their audio up, so can y'all check on that, please, and let's get that fixed. That might be Avis. Avis, can you hear me? Okay, Avis can't hear me, so y'all go ahead and let me know we get that taken care of. I want to start with you, Michael. Isn't it quite interesting that Donald Trump, again, he retweets this and then, no, he didn't hear it. No apology, no nothing. They're fine with it. He knows exactly what he's doing, Michael.
Well, first, I saw that shirt you have on the clearance rack at Target. But nonetheless, I'm sure you got a good deal on it, so wear it proudly.
I see you not wearing an Omega shirt because
I have
can't.
my beads on. I have my beads on.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Don't start, because I'm going to end it. So you better just go on with your little comment.
It's your show. You will end it.
And it's another alpha on here, Mustafa. So we'll deal with you, but go right ahead.
You know, Trump, especially to that last question, the last thing you saw in the White House press room, it's very difficult for them to deal with any kind of question and the president with race and history. See, part of the problem is I don't think, Roland, that he understands history. I don't think he's ever read or understands the Constitution or understands what this country is really all about and where it's been and who helped build it. So when you don't understand that, you're going to give answers like that. Now, the press secretary has to say what she's told to say, but we all know why she says it and why they can't give an accurate answer related to the history of this country. And it's going to continue that way until Vice President Biden beats him in November.
It is laughable, Mustafa, to watch this racist in chief. I mean, bottom line, that's what he is. To try to say, oh, he didn't hear the white power part. No, he didn't hear that part. No apology, no nothing. Like, it's no big deal. It's all good.
I don't give the president any passes. You know, we continually say, well, he just didn't know, or he was uninformed. I'm sorry, you're the president of the United States of America. You have access to every piece of information that there is. If your studies have not taught you about American history, then that's on you. You took the job. That means that you have to be prepared for every situation that might come up. And the president is very clear. There is a strategy that he and his party have to try and garner a small percentage of the black vote, especially black men. So let's lay it out so that folks are very clear. He said in Charlottesville, there are very fine people on both sides, knowing exactly who was on both sides of that equation. So it is very much connected to the white power statement that was made in this video. The president has invited white nationalists into the White House for meetings. So he was clear about who was coming to those meetings. The president has hired white nationalists to actually advise him, to help him to formulate policy. So I give him no passes for not knowing. This is a part of a strategic plan to actually sort of fan the flames of racism in our country, because he enjoys chaos, because he knows when there is chaos, then he can pretend and he can kind of swoop in and act like he's the great savior. And unfortunately, that is not the point.
This is absolutely appealing to racists, Avis, pure and simple. That's what it is. I don't care what Kayleigh has to say. I don't care what Ronna McDaniel, the head of the Republican National Committee, has to say. That's exactly what this is, and it's simple as that.
Absolutely. This is a presidency who has known white supremacists as part of his base. I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing. That wasn't a dog whistle. That was a foghorn. He specifically did that as a way to signal to the most racist elements of his base that I'm with you. And, you know, as was beautifully laid out there by Mustafa, this is just one of many signals. This is a pattern of his. And so this is a dance that they typically play. He does or says something that specifically it targets or somehow lifts white supremacists up And at the same time, then when he's called to the carpet on it, his team around him makes some sort of excuse. He didn't know. He didn't realize. But he continues to leave that out there. He does not in any way, as you mentioned, apologize because he's not sorry he did it. He did exactly what he intended to do. He sent exactly the message that he intended to send, and it resonated specifically with the people that he wants to support him in November.
Yeah, I mean, it's real clear to me. I mean, there's no sense dancing around it. He's out here defending Confederate statues, things along those lines.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, at Seek.com, partnership with us. Folks have these headphones, amazing headphones, and also there's this virtual reality headset right here. Of course, the headphone, 360-degree, 4D, amazing sound. You absolutely love it for gaming, for listening to music, for watching movies, you name it. Go to Seek.com, CEEK.com, and use this promo code RMVIP 2020, RMVIP 2020, right here. And so, folks, again, and so Mary Spio is a sister. She is the inventor of this. It's her website as well. So it's Seek.com, CEEK.com. Herman Cain is now in the hospital for COVID-19. This was a photo when he was at the Trump rally just, a couple of weeks ago. It took place June 20th in Tulsa. Guys, show the photo, please. And it speaks to exactly what we're talking about. In fact, okay, I don't know why we have the photo. I sent it in. All right, fine, I'll pull it up. What's interesting is that he sent a tweet out. He sent a tweet out about 22 hours ago, a very arrogant tweet, again, against wearing masks. And so this is the nonsense that you're seeing. You have Republicans out there who throw this stuff out there, who they've got people all riled up, and like, this is wrong, this is unfair, we shouldn't have to be doing these things. Well, this is kind of what happens when you ignore the scientists. And again, Herman Cain, of all people, you old. And Herman Cain is old, and he's sitting here. As a matter of fact, hopefully it comes up real quick. Here's the photo right here, okay, from the Trump rally. Okay, you see all these black Republicans sitting there. So guess what? Every single person in that photo, they better go to quarantine, including Paris Denard, who's right behind them. That's what happens when you don't listen to the experts and you sit there and run your ass out there talking all this trash about masks and not wearing masks, and you listen to a fool like Donald Trump. Here's the statement they put out. On Monday, June 29th, Herman Cain was informed that he had tested positive for COVID-19. By Wednesday, July 1st, Mr. Cain had developed symptoms serious enough that he required hospitalization. He spent the past night in the hospital, and as of today, Thursday, July 2nd, he is resting comfortably in an Atlanta area hospital. Mr. Cain did not require a respirator, and he is awake and alert. There's no way of knowing for sure how or where Mr. Cain contracted the coronavirus, but we do know he's a fighter who has beaten stage 4 cancer, blah, 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 blah. That's why you wear a mask. That's why you have safe distancing. That's why you don't sit next to people at rallies like the fools did there in Tulsa. That's why.
Yeah,
and we're seeing more cases of people.
Condition.
Hold on one second. Reese, then Erica. Go ahead, Reese. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we're seeing more cases of entire families getting infected. It's anecdotal from what I've seen, but I'm just seeing a lot more cases where an entire family gets infected. They don't know exactly who was the first person in the family to get the virus. And, this has a disproportionate impact in terms of the deadliness and the severity of this disease when it comes to Black people because of pre-existing conditions. So Herman Cain, as a stage 4 cancer survivor, should have known better. And you cannot follow a fool. Like some people say, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and COVID is not the prize that you want to win.
Go ahead, Erica.
Absolutely. And then looking at Tulsa County, they've seen an increase since the Klan rally of 15% in their COVID numbers. You're talking about well over 900 people since June 20th that have the virus. And that's what we know thus far. And so the irresponsibility and arrogance of other people should not be a life or death scenario for other folks. People have to exercise wisdom and wear a mask, social distance, and wash their hands often, and stop gathering.
This is the thing right here, Greg. Real simple. Again, go to my iPad. This is a tweet sent out literally 24 hours ago as he was commenting on this big Mount Rushmore Independence Day event Trump has been touting. In the South Dakota governor, we will not be social distancing. This is what Herman Cain wrote. Masks will not be mandatory for the event, which will be attended by President Trump. People are fed up, and you're in the hospital with coronavirus. That's dumb.
The Black Hills are sacred in South Dakota, and shout out to the Dakota Sioux who have said you're not welcome on our territory. And Herman Cain would do well to revisit his old slogan when he was running for president, 999, except not the number 9, maybe 9 as in German. No, Herman. No, brother. Now you are in the hospital because you were one of those rent-a-Negroes that showed up out there in Tulsa. I mean, at some point, we have to decide whether or not we are going to protect the lives of human beings or play politics until people literally die. I mean, the governor of Florida now trying to close stuff. 10,000 people in the last day have shown up, tested for COVID. In Texas, the lieutenant governor has lost his entire mind. And now Herman Cain thinks that somehow scoring political points is more important. When, in fact, even there in Texas, you saw what happened with Mike Pence in that church. The choir singing behind him. Several of those people had contracted COVID, and they up there singing away with no masks, even as the vice president has his mask on. I mean, you know, at some point, this thing has to really come down to whether or not we're going to stand on the side of protecting people's lives, or are we going to continue to abet this type of political foolishness.
Folks, according to the Brookings Institution, Black Americans, specifically between the ages of 45 to 54, are dying 7 times the rate of white Americans who are the same age. For ages 45 to 54, the death rate per 100,000 is 28 for blacks, 24 for Latinos, and 4 for whites. For ages 55 to 64, it is 76 per 100,000 for blacks, 60 for Latinos, and 13 for whites. For ages 65 to 74, it is 196 for blacks, 135 for Latinos, and 38 for whites. So for ages 75 to 84, it is 443 for blacks, 290 for Latinos, and 120 for whites. For 85 and over, 880 for blacks, 573 for Latinos, 436 for whites. In every age category, black people are dying at a higher rate of coronavirus than anybody else. So listen up. Stop listening to these crazy white folks, if you're black, talking about coronavirus, because you are likely to, if you're black, to die at a higher rate. So wear a damn mask, stop being stupid, wash your hands, and I'm getting all kind of reports from black people. I was talking today to Dr. Ebony Jade Hilton. She was in her home state of South Carolina, and she was telling me these black people are not wearing their mask. Look, if these other folk want to kill themselves, fine. But the reality is that's their business. But black people, we are getting hit harder than anybody else with this. Don't listen to those fools. Don't listen to them fools on Fox News. Don't listen to any of them, and wear a mask. If you get it because you chose not to wear a mask, that's because you were stupid as hell, and you should have listened to common sense trying to explain to you what in the hell is going on. Sorry, I put it just like it need to be put because somebody got to say it the way it's supposed to be said. All right, folks, back to our Roll Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, the folks at Seek.com have an incredible offer for you folks. And these are these 360-degree 4D headphones that you can use for music, you can Bluetooth, you can for gamers, all that sort of stuff. Mary Spiel, the sister, she's actually the inventor of these headphones. Phenomenal. I love the sound of these. They also have the virtual reality headsets, which allow for you to actually watch VR virtual reality videos, 360-degree videos. You just simply pop your phone right into here. And then, of course, if you you can also go like YouTube has an app as well that has a channel that deals with a lot of those VR ads. And so you can actually do all of that, folks. Check this out and pop it on. And guess what? Check out your virtual reality videos. Go to Seek.com, 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 Seek.com. Use this promo code right here, RMVIP2020, RMVIP2020 for a discount on these headphones. And then, of course, when you support them, you support this show, Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. Yes, I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards, he will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble, because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it messes me up every single time. So, I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.